The message arrived on a quiet Tuesday morning, embedded in what appeared to be routine astronomical data from the Kuiper Belt Observatory. Dr. Sarah Chen almost missed it. A perfectly arranged sequence of prime numbers hidden within the background radiation readings. As she stared at her terminal, coffee growing cold beside her keyboard, she realized humanity had just received its first confirmed contact from an alien civilization. What she couldn't know was that this message would expose the greatest deception ever perpetrated against humanity. Within hours, the world's leading scientists and military leaders gathered in an emergency conference. The message was elegant in its simplicity, an invitation to join the Concordat, a federation of spacefaring civilizations that claimed to foster peace and technological advancement throughout the galaxy. They offered to share their knowledge, to help humanity take its rightful place among the stars. Admiral James Torres, watching the presentation from the back of the room, noticed something nobody else seemed to catch. The timing was too perfect. Earth had just achieved quantum computing breakthroughs that would revolutionize space travel. And now, suddenly, advanced aliens wanted to welcome us with open arms. In his secure facility beneath the Pacific Ocean, Torres had access to classified data that would have shocked even his fellow military leaders. For decades, unexplained anomalies had appeared in human technological development. Promising innovations mysteriously hit dead ends. Brilliant scientists occasionally disappeared. The pattern had been subtle, but it was there if you knew where to look. The Concordat's message sparked a global celebration. News channels ran non-stop coverage of humanity's impending ascension to a galactic civilization. Political leaders prepared speeches about unity and progress. But in secure facilities around the world, a different response was taking shape. Dr. Chen's discovery of a second hidden pattern in the alien transmission confirmed Torres's suspicions. The Concordat wasn't making first contact. They were finally showing their hand after centuries of manipulation. The aliens had been steering human development, ensuring we remained controllable while advancing just enough to be useful. Deep in their quantum-shielded bunker, Torres and Chen pieced together the truth. The Concordat wasn't a federation. It was an empire built on subjugation through technological dependence. Their peaceful oversight had kept countless species in carefully managed development, never allowing them to truly compete with the dominant powers. But humanity had done something unprecedented. Despite the Concordat's careful manipulation, humans had developed technologies in secret that the aliens couldn't detect. The quantum computing breakthrough wasn't just about faster calculations. It had revealed fundamental flaws in the Concordat's understanding of physics. Torres activated a secure channel to the other members of the Earth Defense Initiative, a shadow organization created by those who had long suspected humanity wasn't alone. "They think they're coming to collect another puppet state," he told the assembled holographic faces. "But we've built something they couldn't predict or control." In orbital shipyards hidden by experimental cloaking fields, humanity's real fleet waited, ships powered by drives that didn't follow the Concordat's approved physics. Weapons based on principles the aliens had tried to steer humanity away from discovering. And most importantly, a defense network that could reveal the true nature of the Concordat's peaceful delegation when they arrived. Dr. Chen's voice was steady as she addressed the initiative's council. "We need to play along. Let them think their deception worked. The public celebration works in our favor. It will make the Concordat overconfident." Torres nodded. They'd spent centuries ensuring we developed according to their plan. They won't expect us to have outmaneuvered them. He pulled up a holographic display of Earth's hidden capabilities. When they come to collect their newest vassals, they'll find out humanity doesn't follow anyone else's rules of development. As the first Concordat ships appeared at the edge of the solar system, humanity prepared its response to centuries of manipulation. The aliens thought they were arriving to complete a long-term conquest. Instead, they were about to learn why trying to control human development had been their greatest mistake. The stage was set for a confrontation that would shatter the Concordat's carefully maintained galactic order. Humanity was ready to show the galaxy that true advancement couldn't be contained or controlled. The deception was about to end, and with it, the old balance of power among the stars. The Concordat's diplomatic vessel emerged from FTL Drive in a flash of calculated precision, exactly 1 million kilometers from Earth. Their arrival was a carefully choreographed display of technological superiority, or so they thought. What the aliens couldn't detect were the hundreds of quantum-shifted sensors analyzing their every move, gathering data that would soon prove invaluable. In the Strategic Command Center beneath Mount Cheyenne, Admiral Torres watched the alien ships approach through an array of holographic displays. The vessel's design was exactly as their deep space reconnaissance had predicted: sleek, efficient, and completely dependent on the standardized technologies the Concordat permitted its member species to develop. They're broadcasting their welcome message, Lieutenant Sarah Martinez reported, her fingers dancing across the quantum interface. Full spectrum, all Earth languages. They're making quite a show of it. Torres allowed himself a small smile. Let's give them the response they're expecting. Broadcast the UN Secretary-General's acceptance speech, and make sure our public satellites transmit plenty of footage showing Earth's celebrations. The real action was happening far from Earth, in the Kuiper Belt's darkness. There, hidden in the void between worlds, humanity's true fleet was stirring. The ships bore little resemblance to the clunky spacecraft the Concordat had observed humans using. These vessels were built around principles of quantum mechanics that the aliens had deliberately steered humanity away from exploring. Commander David Chen, Dr. Chen's brother, stood on the bridge of the TSS Prometheus, the first of humanity's quantum drive warships. His crew worked in practiced silence, running final checks on systems that, according to the Concordat's understanding of physics, shouldn't even be possible. All ships report ready, Commander, his XO reported. Quantum drives are spooled and synchronized. Ghost protocols are active. The Ghost protocols were humanity's greatest achievement, a way to operate completely outside the Concordat's sensor capabilities. The aliens believed they had mapped every possible form of detection technology. They were wrong. Back on Earth, the Concordat's delegation was landing with all the pomp and ceremony befitting what they thought was a historic moment. Their tall, elegant forms emerged from their ship to meet Earth's leaders, carefully chosen actors briefed to play their parts perfectly. Dr. Chen, watching from her secure facility, couldn't help but appreciate the irony. The Concordat's representatives were explaining how they would guide humanity's development, even as humanity's real technological achievements remained completely hidden from their sophisticated sensors. The alien delegation's leader, who called himself the Voice of Progress, spoke of peace and advancement. His words were broadcast globally, but in secure facilities worldwide. Humanity's real leaders were finalizing their preparations. Commander Chen received the coded signal he'd been waiting for. All ships, execute Operation Revelation. Remember, timing is everything. We show them exactly what we want them to see, nothing more. The Prometheus and its sister ships began to move, their quantum drives generating distortion fields that the Concordat's sensors would interpret as natural space-time fluctuations. They took up precise positions, hidden in plain sight, surrounding not just Earth but key points throughout the solar system. The Voice of Progress was just beginning to explain the Concordat's generous terms for Earth's membership when Admiral Torres gave the signal. Across Earth's surface, quantum shield generators that had been disguised as regular power plants hummed to life. The alien sensors suddenly registered energy readings that should have been impossible for Earth's level of development. The Concordat delegation's reaction was subtle but unmistakable, a slight stiffening of their posture, a momentary pause in their carefully prepared speech. For the first time in centuries, something wasn't going according to their plans. Now, Torres commanded, show them what humanity can really do. Across the solar system, humanity's hidden fleet dropped their quantum veils. The Concordat sensors suddenly detected hundreds of ships that rivaled their own best vessels in size and capability. Ships that utilized principles of physics the aliens had specifically tried to prevent humanity from discovering. The voice of Progress's speech faltered completely as new data streamed into his neural interface. His eyes widened as he realized the extent of their miscalculation. Humanity hadn't developed along the careful guidelines the Concordat had laid out over centuries of manipulation. They had somehow broken free of those constraints and forged their own path. Commander Chen's voice echoed across all frequencies in perfect Concordat standard language. "Welcome to Earth. We believe it's time for an honest conversation about humanity's place in the galaxy." The trap had been sprung. Now it was time to show the Concordat exactly what happened when they underestimated human ingenuity and determination. The real first contact was about to begin, and it would reshape the galaxy in ways the Concordat never could have predicted. The Concordat's response came swiftly and brutally. Within hours of humanity's revelation, their hidden battle fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edges of the solar system. Thousands of warships, each bristling with weapons that had subjugated countless civilizations, moved to encircle Earth. Their message was simple: submit or be destroyed. In the Strategic Command Center, Admiral Torres watched the enemy fleets approach with calculated calm. "They're following exactly the pattern we predicted," he noted, addressing the holographic images of military leaders from around the world. "The Concordat has used this same tactic to crush every civilization that's ever shown signs of independence." Dr. Chen's voice cut through the tension. "Their fleet formation suggests they expect us to have, at most 20th century level defensive capabilities. The quantum masking worked perfectly. They have no idea what they're really facing." The Concordat's first strike was designed to be overwhelming, a psychological weapon as much as a physical one. Their ships launched a barrage of graviton torpedoes, weapons designed to tear apart the fabric of space-time itself. Under normal circumstances, such an attack would have shattered any planetary defense system. But humanity had long since moved beyond normal circumstances. As the torpedoes approached Earth's atmosphere, they encountered something unprecedented. The quantum shield network, hidden in plain sight for decades, sprang to life. But unlike traditional energy barriers, these defenses operated on principles the Concordat had never encountered. Commander Chen, watching from the bridge of the Prometheus, allowed himself a grim smile as the enemy weapons simply ceased to exist. The quantum shields didn't stop the torpedoes. They redirected them into parallel probability states where they had never been fired in the first place. The Concordat fleet's coordinated attack faltered. For the first time in their long history of conquest, their primary weapons had proven completely ineffective. But this was just the beginning of humanity's surprises. "Execute Operation Paradigm Shift," Torres commanded. Throughout the solar system, hundreds of quantum-shifted human vessels revealed themselves, each equipped with technologies that defied the Concordat's understanding of physics. The real battle began not with an exchange of fire, but with the activation of humanity's most revolutionary weapon, the probability drive. Dr. Chen had theorized its existence years ago, but even she hadn't fully grasped its implications until now. As the drive engaged, reality itself seemed to ripple around the human fleet. The Concordat's targeting systems suddenly found themselves trying to lock onto ships that existed in multiple states simultaneously. Their advanced AI combat systems, designed to predict enemy movements, encountered vessels that operated outside the normal laws of cause and effect. "They're launching their second wave," Martins reported, her hand steady on the quantum interface. "Mass driver weapons and temporal disruptors." Torres nodded. "Let them see what happens when they face an enemy that doesn't play by their rules. Activate the entropy inverters." The Concordat's second attack met an even stranger fate than the first. As their weapons approached, they encountered fields of inverted entropy. Missiles aged backwards into their component parts. Energy beams dispersed into harmless light shows. The laws of physics themselves seemed to be working in humanity's favor. In the Concordat's command ship, the high strategos watched in growing horror as reports flooded in. Humanity hadn't just developed beyond their controlled parameters, they had fundamentally transformed their understanding of reality itself. The human fleet began its counterattack, but not with conventional weapons. Instead, they deployed what Dr. Chen had dubbed probability cascades, quantum effects that caused Concordat ships to experience every possible failure state simultaneously. Ships began to power down, their crews finding themselves in scenarios where critical systems had never been properly maintained, or where vital components had failed quality control centuries ago. "We're not just fighting their ships," Dr. Chen explained to the command staff. "We're fighting the very assumptions their civilization is built upon. Every piece of technology they use is based on principles we were never supposed to discover. And now we're showing them why they should have feared that discovery." The Concordat fleet's formation began to break. Ships attempting to retreat found their FTL drives refusing to engage. The quantum disruption fields had turned their own space-time manipulation against them. For the first time in their history of conquest, the Concordat faced not just defeat, but complete military paralysis. Commander Chen's voice echoed across all frequencies again. "Your weapons cannot harm us. Your defenses cannot stop us. But unlike you, we don't seek to dominate. Stand down, and let's discuss the future of galactic civilization as equals." The battle for Earth had become something more. It was a fundamental challenge to the Concordat's entire system of technological control. And as their mighty fleet hung powerless in space, the aliens began to realize that humanity hadn't just broken free of their chains. They had forged those chains into something entirely new. The quantum sensors aboard the TSS Prometheus detected the Concordat's emergency transmissions racing across their FTL network. The aliens were calling for reinforcements, desperately trying to contain what they now realized was an existential threat to their dominion. But even their faster-than-light communications were about to betray them. "They're doing exactly what we predicted," Dr. Chen announced, her hologram flickering in the Prometheus's command center. "Their FTL network is lighting up like a Christmas tree. Every transmission is mapping their infrastructure for us." Commander Chen nodded to his tactical officer. "Initiate Operation Ghost Protocol. Let's show them why depending on a single technology for everything was their biggest mistake." Across human space, specialized quantum interference vessels activated their reality warping drives. These ships weren't designed for combat. They were built for something far more devastating. They began to manipulate the very fabric of space-time that the Concordat's FTL network relied upon. In the Strategic Command Center, Admiral Torres watched as the alien communications network began to collapse. The quantum entanglement is working. Their entire FTL infrastructure is experiencing temporal feedback loops. The Concordat had built their empire on controlling how other species developed FTL technology, ensuring everyone used their standardized systems. Now that uniformity became their greatest weakness. As the human quantum ships interfered with the network, every FTL communication and transportation route in Concordat space began to deteriorate. The aliens' response was predictable. They launched their reserve fleets, thousands of ships jumping toward Earth through their supposedly secure FTL corridors. But humanity had turned these cosmic highways into deadly traps. Multiple Concordat battle groups attempting emergency FTL transit, Lieutenant Martinez reported. "They're walking right into it." The alien ships emerged from FTL into chaos. The human quantum interference had turned their carefully plotted routes into probability mazes. Entire fleets found themselves emerging in the wrong locations, their carefully coordinated formations shattered across light years of space. But the true masterstroke was yet to come. Dr. Chen's voice was tight with controlled excitement as she explained. "The quantum interference isn't just disrupting their network, it's rewriting it. Every ship that attempts to use their FTL system is now providing us with more data about their infrastructure." Commander Chen understood the implications immediately. "We're not just mapping their network, we're becoming it." The Concordat's empire had been built on technological control, but humanity had turned that control into a weapon against them. As their ships continued to attempt FTL travel, they fed more and more information into human quantum systems. Each transmission, each jump, Each desperate call for help only served to strengthen humanity's grip on their infrastructure. Admiral Torres received the signal he'd been waiting for. All ships, initiate Phase 2. Show them what happens when you try to cage human ingenuity. The human fleet split into strike groups, each equipped with the latest quantum drive technology. Unlike the Concordat's rigid FTL systems, these drives could adapt and evolve in real time. The ships seemed to fade in and out of reality as they moved, existing in multiple states simultaneously. Multiple targets acquired, Martins announced. Concordat command and control centers identified across 3 spiral arms. The counterattack began not with weapons, but with precision quantum strikes against the very foundations of Concordat power. Human ships appeared simultaneously at dozens of critical infrastructure nodes. Their quantum drives didn't just transport them. They allowed them to exist in multiple locations at once, overwhelming the aliens' defenses through sheer impossibility. In the Concordat's central systems, panic began to spread. Their mighty fleets found themselves cut off from command and control. Their FTL network, the backbone of their empire, was being rewritten by human quantum technology. Each attempt to regain control only gave humanity more power over their systems. "They're trying to shut down the network," Dr. Chen reported, watching the data streams. "But they can't. We're not just using their infrastructure. We've fundamentally changed how it works." Commander Chen watched as the tactical display showed more and more Concordat systems going dark, cut off from their centralized control. They built their empire on the assumption that they could control how others use technology. They never considered what would happen if someone reimagined the fundamental principles they took for granted. The human fleet continued its advance, unstoppable and unpredictable. The Concordat's mighty warships found themselves fighting an enemy that could be everywhere and nowhere, that could turn their own technology against them with devastating effect. As the battle raged across the galaxy, humanity's message was clear. The age of technological suppression was over. The future would belong to those who dared to imagine beyond the boundaries others had set. In the Grand Council chambers of the Concordat's capital world, emergency alarms blared as centuries of carefully maintained order crumbled. The High Council, those who had guided the suppression of technological advancement across thousands of species, watched in disbelief as their displays showed human ships materializing simultaneously across their most secure systems. "Impossible," the first speaker whispered, his crystalline form dimming with shock. "They've bypassed every defense, every safeguard we've built over millennia." Dr. Chen's voice echoed through their chambers, transmitted through the very network they had once controlled. "Your defenses were built on outdated assumptions. You tried to control progress itself, but human innovation cannot be contained. The Prometheus led the final assault, but this was no conventional attack." As Commander Chen's fleet approached the Concordat capital, they deployed their most revolutionary technology yet, the quantum consciousness transmitter. "All ships, initiate the liberation protocol," Torres commanded from Earth. "Let every suppressed species see the truth." Across thousands of worlds, beings that had been forced to develop along the Concordat's restrictive guidelines suddenly received direct quantum transmissions. They saw the truth of their own histories, how their natural technological evolution had been deliberately stunted, their innovations suppressed, their potential limited. But more importantly, they saw the alternative that humanity offered. "We're not here to replace one empire with another." Dr. Chen's message spread across the quantum network. "We're here to free the galaxy from artificial constraints on innovation and progress." The human fleet surrounded the capital, but their weapons remained silent. Instead, they began broadcasting technical data, free and unrestricted access to the quantum technologies humanity had developed, not as weapons, but as tools for advancement. In the council chambers, the first speaker received reports of unprecedented events across their territory. Species that had been carefully controlled for generations were already beginning to experiment with the newly revealed principles. The carefully maintained hierarchy of technological advancement was dissolving. Commander Chen's voice carried authority as he addressed the Concordat leadership. Your empire was built on suppression, but humanity's strength comes from freedom to innovate, to question, to push boundaries. We're offering that freedom to everyone. The quantum consciousness transmitter continued its work, sharing not just technology but understanding. Species that had been kept isolated from each other began to communicate directly, sharing ideas and innovations that had been prohibited for centuries. Dr. Chen's hologram appeared in the council chamber, her expression firm but not unkind. You believed that controlling technological advancement was necessary for stability. We're showing you a different path, one where diversity of innovation creates strength, not chaos. The Concordet's leaders faced a choice: adapt to a new reality or fade into obsolescence. Their carefully maintained system of control had been not just defeated, but rendered obsolete by human ingenuity. The age of suppression is over, Admiral Torres announced across all frequencies. The galaxy is entering a new era of unrestricted innovation and cooperation. Across conquered worlds, ships that had been locked into predetermined technological paths began to transform as their crews implemented human quantum principles. The rigid hierarchy of the Concordat dissolved not through violence, but through the simple act of sharing knowledge. The first speaker stood, his crystalline form resonating with decision. For millennia, we believed control was necessary for peace. Humanity has proven us wrong in the most elegant way possible, not by destroying our civilization, but by showing us a better path. As the human fleet maintained its position around the capital, the quantum network hummed with activity. Species that had been separated by artificial barriers began to forge new connections. Technologies that had been suppressed for centuries emerged and evolved rapidly as different civilizations shared their insights. Dr. Chen's final message to the Concordat leadership was both a promise and a warning. Earth will not become your new masters. Instead, we'll be guardians of innovation and progress. Any attempt to suppress technological advancement again will be met with the full force of human ingenuity. The galaxy was transforming. The rigid structures of the Concordat were being replaced by a dynamic network of cooperation and shared discovery. Humanity had done more than win a war. They had sparked a revolution in how civilizations could grow and interact. As the sun rose on a new era of galactic civilization, the truth became clear. Humanity's greatest weapon had not been their advanced technology, but their unwavering belief in the power of unrestricted innovation and cooperation. The stars themselves seemed brighter, promising a future where no species' potential would ever be caged again.